honored by the invitation this evening and a bit humbled, I should say, and truly glad to be here in celebration and in solidarity with women in this room and all over the world. I am going to share a very personal experience with you, really a narrative that I've written, and I hope it will foster understanding and speak to all women, especially those who have suffered the loss of an infant. 2004, a year of immeasurable loss paralleled by transformative healing and anticipation. I've often been in awe of those periods in our lives when a fleeting moment, a day, a week changes us so profoundly that we emerge entirely different. Our perspectives shift. What we thought impossible comes to bear before us. What we thought important, necessary, and right pale amidst unexpected circumstances. Actions we thought ourselves incapable of, we commit. When I was pregnant with my daughter Francesca, who is now 2, almost everyone asked, "Is this your first child?" Such a seemingly benign question conjured feelings of guilt, confusion, and sadness in me. I often would simply answer, "I lost my first." Certainly most people thought that must have meant that I miscarried, probably in the first trimester. While a relatively common occurrence in 25 to 30% of all pregnancies, its traumatic impact should not be underestimated. However, that wasn't my story. It was February 2004, and I was nearly into my 3rd trimester. It felt safe enough to be designing the nursery, to be collecting onesies and rompers. At that moment in time, Jason, my husband, and I were very much preoccupied with the nature of the birthing experience. We were about to begin our Bradley Method natural birthing classes. We had settled on delivering at a birthing center to minimize the clinical ambiance of a conventional hospital scenario. Wasn't this a new era of birthing, where we stripped away with full force the gurneys and surgical lights, said no to epidurals, and welcomed in our natural feminine powers in kinship with our mothers, grandmothers, and great-grandmothers who didn't have the privilege of choosing to decline the use of pain-relieving pharmaceuticals and other birthing technologies. A phone call on February 10th dissolved our preoccupations with our chosen methods of birthing. We were informed that an ultrasound had detected a severe abnormality in our baby's brain. What ensued in the following weeks exhausted all that medical science had to offer an unborn child. Tests, specialists, consultations, even with some of the most renowned radiologists, pediatric neurologists, surgeons, geneticists, and perinatologists in the country. Finally, the definitive words came. There is no hope for this child, and if you continue with this pregnancy, you may jeopardize your ability to carry another. There, the choice lay starkly before us, to genetically terminate. We had been so careful to wait to become pregnant until we were ready, until we felt peace of mind, a hopefulness in bringing a child into our troubled world. But we should always be mindful that so much of our experience is not within our control. So we named our daughter Sita, Armenian for an echo or spirit in the forest. And I labored. And I labored for more than 30 hours before delivering her lifeless body. These are the things we feel incapable of coping with. We had intended to bury her in a secluded redwood grove near where we lived at the time in Marin County. But I wasn't ready, so we kept her ashes on a makeshift altar. Just 3 months after the loss of Sita, Francesca was conceived, and our only preoccupation as she grew inside of me was her health. But just as we discovered that I was pregnant, we received another phone call. this time from Jason's brother informing us that their mother, Sue, had died suddenly from complications associated with a lifelong alcohol addiction. This loss upon loss instilled in us a heightened sense of gratitude for the gift of this unborn child, whose very being accelerated a sense of healing and hopefulness. Francesca was born at Kaiser Permanente in San Francisco on February 7th, 2005, a month early, on a gurney, under surgical lights. So much for the Bradley method. An emergency C-section as a result of an extremely precarious breech presentation. Hence the principal lesson of mothering, to let go. Since her birth, each day has been filled with many more lessons. At first, they felt more instinctive, and now that we are a month into 2, the line has blurred a bit where needs and wants intersect, increasing the complexity of parental responsiveness, where at times not responding may be the best response of all. Francesca weaned at 20.5 months, and not coincidentally at the same time began what I refer to as the mantra of self, mine, and me. I say, "Francesca, hold Mama's hand when we cross the street." She retorts, pulling her hand away, "Mama, self." As if to say, "Mama, I am my own person, very separate from you." This commences our journey where we navigate what it means to be so deeply connected and in love with another being, while still honoring and respecting each other's self-determination and individuality. But every so often, Francesca implores, "Mama, help." Hence the duality of the parent-child relationship, knowing when she needs to figure it out for herself and when a little help is in order. Just a couple of weeks ago, on the 3rd anniversary of Sita's death, Francesca, Jason, and I released her ashes into the rushing North Yuba. Francesca threw a singing bowl full of flowers into the river to follow Sita on her path. When we returned home, Francesca proclaimed, "Mama, I like rivers." Something that her father's very proud of since he's the director of Circle. He was actually behind her saying, "I like rivers, I like rivers." Why, I asked. Safe, Mama. Did she know how affirming she had been to let us know that this was a safe and secure resting place? I couldn't have imagined a more beautiful way to say goodbye. When Gather the Women invited me to share my story as a part of this International Women's Day celebration, I hadn't anticipated how powerful it would be for me to give voice to this loss. In the end, it was this invitation that gave me the strength to release Sita and to acknowledge the indelible imprint of her death while continuing to heal. It reminded me that International Women's Day is a calling forth of all women to tell our stories and share our wisdom, to listen and to understand, to celebrate and to heal, and perhaps most compelling of all, to take action to transform ourselves and our world. Thank you.